Alright, we're back where we left last time. We're literally about to get into their testimonies. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. I mean, I'm gonna press some of those statements. Ambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As it has been clearly stated from the onset, yes. Well, in that case, how could these two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? That's my question in the first place. There's no way they could have seen inside the moving carriage. I'm confused. Nobody's gonna answer me. I also am confused. Von Zeeks, how quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant to our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend. Have you even traveled in an omnibus? No. Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime. How are you getting the actual scene of the crime in here? I need to know that. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage designed to be moved, after all. Presumably, you understand that much? Yes. The omnibus in which the bloody crime took place in here today. In this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage. Bailiff? Bring forth the stricken omnibus! So that's an omnibus. I'm still having problems seeing how they could have seen it. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the roof deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best view of the city's architecture and sights are to be held from on top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof allowing the view of the interior from the seats above. Yeah, but only by the back seat. Are you telling me both of these guys were on that back seat together? And that it would only view at an angle down to the front seat below? Like, I'm still having a hard time believing this. Also that they would just look down at just the right moment. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. Which seats? You know which seats you 2 were in. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. through the skylight. Ugh, that makes... No, it does not! As I've just pointed out, it still does not make sense. Because they'd either have to be seated together on that rooftop, which kind of awkward if you just get seated with somebody you don't know if the front seat's available. And two, depends on how people are seated below you. You'd only be able to see that front seat. And you'd have to look down at like just the right goddarn moment to see that. Well, Council, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I never experienced the crime scene itself to be brought into the courtroom. Can I examine said crime scene itself? There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Well, I'm going to go examine that really quickly. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Okay, so it is that one seat. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. That's the blood soaked into the seat. The victim's obviously. And that seat would clearly be visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. It's only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up on the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Anything else? I guess I'll go to the roof deck. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. I need to see the roof deck. Can't find anything out of place. Not what I meant. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here in bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them? And they have to pay money to do so? Brr, I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps the real price you pay is to stay out late. So this is the... Oh, it's gonna be the same. I don't see anything else. That's great! Oh, look at that! That's beautiful. That's funny. Alright, I think that's it. I don't think we can get anything else. looks like I don't see anything. It really will be. You can only have seen it from this back one. It's like just barely, like you would have had to look down at just the opportune moment. You can clearly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Alright, I'm going back. Can't believe that this entire crime scene enters evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Obviously, I'm going to examine it. Let us continue with proceedings then, your cross-examination, counsel. Pray don't expect this Nepalese to stray to understand the intricacies of a British court cross-examination rights. Screw you? I am fine, buddy. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Ryunosuke. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. What the witnesses saw. Alright, let's see what kind of lies you guys coming up with. Last bus, evening's life, customers. And you were just happening to look down?
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? We're a fair, drunken, hard-working city banker is not considered trustworthy these days. Oh no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail if that's... What the hell is your problem? Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind's made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or the other. They shouldn't be. Every single one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man's no exception. Well, he can't fool me. What the effing hell? There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That's precisely what What the fuck? As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors. Yeah, a good example is you have to actually hear out the evidence. What is happening here? Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? I feel like if they're going to be this kind of jury, they should have already gotten discharged from being on jury duty. Apparently, yes. White for innocent, black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice as we saw a moment ago. So if those enamorous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ugh. Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Ha! This is a nightmare! How the hell did you hear him scream?
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you're saying? You were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was on the roof seats. I remember seeing a little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about the new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge great knife. A grim sight indeed. Ah, that didn't help me at all. The jury look like they're even more convinced my client did than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. Frost! Oh, yes, sir? Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it, the very one, sir. Is that? Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a snake through the heart. That is the blade of a considerable size, counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Ugh, please, no. M, or Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
Oh, no, what kind of a... There's MF elsewhere. Like, no, not Inosuke. Yeah, like Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this is the weapon of murder and most certainly belongs to the accused. Ugh. But you can't prove it belongs to the accused, so god damn it. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel. The murder weapon has been entered into the court record. My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption, hold on. I would like to look at the knife. An ornate letter M. Underlying me, Mr. It's beautifully gilded, too. It must be very valuable, I should... Ah! What is it? Look at this M. You turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. A W. Yes. This is one of those, turnabout cases, I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know it at all. But what I'm sure of is that is an M. Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh. Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana sung from his waist. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Ooh. Blade's drenched in blood. Ugh, that looks like a lot. That looks a lot like blood. Surely is blood, the victim's. Ugh, an Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood. Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. I think that's everything I can discover. Yeah, that's everything. Okay. Let me look at the gloves. Yeah, it's only on this one section. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Yeah, but, like, he'd have to get that from, like, trying to hold the blood in on the victim. Like, he wouldn't get that from stabbing him because it's not on the handle of the knife. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with the coin in his right hand earlier. Ha! Pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Okay. I think that's the only thing I can do. Let me look at my crime scene. Wah. Sticking out of him. Autopsy report: stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife while journeying on an omnibus. Died to internal hemorrhaging as a result of trauma. 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. That is a very short goddamn autopsy report. Alright, I don't think I can do anything. My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. Juror number 2, go on. Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman word's word should not be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. You haven't even heard out every piece of evidence yet. You people are so freaking fast to cast your judgment, which is against what you should be doing in court of law. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish! No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. You're not gonna do it too. I have painstakingly typed out every word and uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Oh, God freaking damn it. I'm glad that the old lady probably ain't gonna be the one to do this to me. Not again. That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There were only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything else at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... alright, I'll keep trying! I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. He's collapsed on the floor, he was. He wasn't on the floor, though. And by the passenger, obviously. You are referring to the late Mr. Mason, the brickmaster maker. But he wasn't on the floor. Indeed. And the other passenger had that knife in his hand like this. By the other passenger, obviously, you are referring to the accused Mr. Magnus McGilded. And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the... How did you see any of this? What? Excuse me, I claim the right to cross-examination. All of that seems like a goddamn lie. Order! Order! Like, how the hell did he see any of that? You said you heard a scream and you stopped it. It's hard to believe one of London's greatest philanthropists, but it's a damning indeed. The law knows no philanthropist, my lord. Only the innocent and the guilty. Good deeds mean nothing when overshadowed by evil. The truth is everything. Couldn't agree more, my sir. The truth. Alright, so when it happened, the only two people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed. But one of them is goddamn effing lying to his goddamn effing soul because none of his testimony makes sense. The second, still, I don't know where the hell he was on that stupid cabin unless he was right next to the guy with the hat. And Hat Guy just said he heard a scream, and I'm also wanting to know how the hell you heard a scream. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. Yep. Ugh. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be... Before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. Yeah, I know. Gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witness statements again, a little more carefully this time. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, ever so cold it was, sir. Freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, no. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. Then nobody fled the scene of the crime, then. I have to say, boss insists on it running, he does. Every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder those times if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, so sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spent that much at the pub on the way home just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. You can't believe it. I murder on my own bus. It's too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened. My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5, do I take it that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing out all the facts, though, I said to myself. And you still haven't heard all the facts. God effing damn it. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, you say. Thank God the old lady is at least the most reasonable. No, please, just keep it. Finish is in sight. God. Thank God the old lady ain't as stupid as the rest of them. Hippo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. Ugh, this is too unkind, sir. Which now means that the 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. God damn it. We're in trouble. you gotta convince the 6th juror. And the old lady's at least really nice. Madam Juror number 6. Yes, dear? What can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park, it's called. The Saving Grace. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know. To put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He's always doing such wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books? How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What? Stone the crows! McGilded lends money at an extraordinate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. Damn! This is just like Ace Attorney 2 all over again, where I got a client very clearly guilty. I'm still gonna have to defend them. I've never heard any mention of that before. I haven't either, but obviously we all get information from our prosecutors. Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, a poor brickmaster, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment day for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaster was desolate. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. I don't believe it. Hold it. I might add something briefly. Miss Susato? You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where's the evidence to support your claim? Give me the evidence, man! Oh, nos. The great juice is back, isn't it? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice in the court of law. There it is! Lord Von Zieg's hollow chalice. How can this be considered acceptable? How can having a goddamn whip in a court of law be considered acceptable? We don't question Ace Attorney logic. But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. As a judicial assistant to the defense, I am merely doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. Just give me the evidence then, my dear man. This is the debitor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Oh. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice. In toast the I can't say that word. It's not gonna come out. East at the same time. A marvelous toast, counsel! I will gladly accept this new evidence. Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. I need to see this ledger. I'm not gonna go over all the evidence. I'm still not gonna find anything, am I? This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, do we? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. If Sherlock's in here, Herlock, if he's in here, I'd laugh. I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we find. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? Did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Well, thank you. I think that's all I can get from that. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. I mean, you don't get money back by killing people, so I don't get what your problem is here, buddy. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regretfully, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel! Still, maybe it's all for the best. Ah! Wait a minute! Let's think about this a little more before. I don't stand for nonsense. God effing damn it! This is a very bad trial. That was it. The last juror's decision. Ah, Sasato, help me out here. According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. Ah, the final verdict! It's over then! We screwed! Oh! There's a footnote, though. A footnote? However, the defense... I'm gonna claim the right, dude! All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections? Absolutely, I have an objection! Oh, Ryunosuke, you're so like your descendant. Your great-great-great-grandson. Miss Susato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. And then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. All right, we have a chance. Summation examination?
Objection!
Oh, shut the hell up! I'm doing it. A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. Oh. What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Abso-goddamn-lutely. I'm just that kind of person to, like, throw in my dice, especially when I'm about to lose. Gotta throw the dice at some point. Typical Nepalese. All right, Mr. Naruhodo. I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we will be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. It says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Alrighty, let's go for it! Make them reverse their decisions. Let's do it! You guys were too fast! Yes! In times gone by, barristers would use summation examination in an attempt to influence the jury's decisions. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use. Is it dead or not? Is it still a law or not? That's the question here, buddy. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Well, guess what? I'm gonna assert my right. Have fun with that. God, he kinda sucks badly. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? That we're gonna do it, and you're gonna have to watch, my dear man. I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Breathe, my dear man, breathe! A sublimation examination, our last possible option. We assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat. We're asserting our right! There's nothing that can go wrong! We're already at the end of the road. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
Oh, shut up! London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have the duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should be remained buried.
Objection!
Again, still needs a little bit more oomph in that objection. But it's alright. If I believe I could prove it vital, and I believe I could prove vital to this trial. It could prove vital to this trial. That was me saying bad things in English. The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Woman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Eh? Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant is guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. Then you shouldn't have made such a quick-handed decision. This is most irregular. No mention of this was made before. I'm sorry, you made a very quick decision to condemn this man without actually hearing all of the witnesses, or letting me actually cross-examine the fact that one of them is so lying to my goddamn face. I want to know why. I want to know how. I don't really hold all that justifying luck. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGild guilty of the most serious crime. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. There was no one else inside the carriage at all, so it had to be him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence? He stuck the chap right next to him like this? Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn a logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Hey, wait, whoa. 4 pence. Then how do you get to 20? 20 means you had 5 passengers. I'm on to you. I'm on to this conundrum. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. But he wasn't on the floor. He was on the chair. He was in the seat. Arrgh! 2 of you are wrong. 2 of you are 100% wrong. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. We're gonna do it, Ryunosuke. Let me have my moment. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Miss Naruhodo. Oh, what are you gonna tell me to do? According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was gonna have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately... Once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then... They've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. So I just have to put their own reasonings against each other, right? In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? To throw them against one another? Ryunosuke, pick up the... Keep in times! Get in times, my dear man. I'm sorry? Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key is to the procedures using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They must appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. Get away then. This is similar to a regular cross-examination. So guess what? I already got 2 of you in the problems. I already got 2 of you in problems with one another. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Breathe, my dear man. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. We will freaking pull this off. We will pull this. I have to pull this off. Can we start the proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Jury examination. Well, I know exactly who I'm pitting against too. Juror 2 against Juror 5 and Juror 3 against Juror 6. Because you guys are the ones who are contradicting each other.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's main and name I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimonies we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus in the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Bebo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That's it, a fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should always be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible that there was in fact another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end? Well, you change your opinion, my dear sir! Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman! We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beepo! There's one side of this that's done. Ugh, this is all very irritating. It's irritating for me too, my dear man. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. Two! I got two on my side. For the love of Mike! Not you as well! A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it! If we can manage to change two more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. Two more. Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. That's where you must strike next. So I need to pit two more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction to their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. Will do, my honor, my lord. Yeah, but now it's 3 versus 6. Because Granny, you're kind of in the wrong.
Objection!
Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post-haste. Oh, dearie. I was only making a jumper for my other half. What's all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3, what? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Want to test me, do you? It was like this, stuck fella right next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony quite true. It's not possible, the autopsy. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dearie, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now, don't move. Take a look at these two jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. I know! I pointed this out during the goddamn testimony, and I hate that I wasn't allowed to question him on it. Because the coachman was so lying to my goddamn face. What? Bless my stitches! What a muddle! What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh! But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide by people telling lies. All right, 50-50. The scales. I don't believe it. Aren't I amazing? Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you. You cannot listen to this man. Why can't you listen to me? Look at him, in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. Excuse you? If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Dark Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? One of these two witnesses has slightly different recollections of events. What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus. And the young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor and then the Shylock stabbed him. I have an autopsy report for that says no. This old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? It's out of the freaking question. Wrong! Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it now, you Dark Jinx? Come on, I'm with it! What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. And I can present you evidence that proves that you're wrong, so shut the hell up. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of question, show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm gonna convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. The evidence you demand. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by the autopsy report. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once. Yeah, only once! It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. All right, I concede defeat. Oh, thank God. I'm gonna deal with you people again. Wait, that means our jurors are now leading to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. Ah! What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Psycho trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we've had a consensus. We had a consensus that was built on lies, goddammit. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if that chap ever dares to cross the threshold in my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense sublimation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to abdicate. And the trial must continue. We're going on! Can't get me down, Vaughn! I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witness to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Von Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution if you please. Oh, dear God. Shit, we in trouble. Having savored the rich aroma of carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crash to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zeeks! Brr, is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored the deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Oh! Well, you can go die in a pit. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more! Witnesses! I trust you heard the summation examination we just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir. I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir, I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beepo? Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If that transpires, then in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus. You will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh, mi Dio. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You explain the various misgivings brought to attention by the defense's sublimation examination. And we are actually going to end that here. I don't know why it's not giving me like a continue, but you're very obviously going to save that here. Because as you can see, it says trial part 2. So I don't know why it's not giving me like the saving at the end of of each section of the case like normal. It might just be a small glitch. It might just be something that doesn't happen for this one case because it is kind of like a continuous trial. But we are going to stop that here. And we are going to end this episode of the Great Ace Attorney adventure, the adventure of the Runaway Room. We will continue next time, which should hopefully be... There should be 2 more episodes in this thing. And hopefully wrap this case up. This definitely doesn't seem like the longest case. But we're at the halfway point of this game. So I would like to see its conclusion. And I can't wait to show it to you guys. Thank you all for joining me. I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye, everybody.